Originally, we know playing through the events of Help 1 and 2 led to 2 total endings. The default ending featuring Cassie's special cutscene where we end up seeing her with the Vanny mask, and the secret ending that depicts Glitchtrap being squished like a bug. Outside of what we already know, however, we have more information towards more possible endings of the game, along with secrets about each and every one of them that players weren't supposed to know about. For starters, we were also given the opportunity to unlock the escape ending of the game, which, believe it or not, acts a whole lot more straightforward than the others. Rosado highlights the whole process of this specific ending over on his channel, and we're able to see how going over to the fire exit inside the pizzeria diner area, found to the left of the stage, then up to the fire exit doors, unlocks something when we end up interacting with what we're looking at. After this sequence, the credits roll, marking the end of the game. It actually connects right up to what we've seen in Steel Wool's last FNAF game as well. The fact there was a way to get through the wall at the very start of the FNAF Ruined playthrough and unlock a whole other side of the building that would allow us to essentially get out of the area that way instead. In the case of this Help 1 and 2 ending, however, we aren't given any additional lore details connecting to the story side of things, but we are given more details in terms of what's been revealed for the Princess Quest ending specifically. Diving through the files of the game ends up revealing the actual voice of Vanny, as we're told, actually leading the player into the sister location breaker room for a certain portion of the game. While these lines ended up being removed before the final cut of the game, we were able to piece together all of the released lines for the character to reveal that we can definitely assume the plot is Vanny, through the help of the player, to go in and finish off what's left of Glitchtrap. It's implied through other gameplay that this game is before the events we ended up seeing in FNAF Ruin, as the physical lines themselves consisted of "you have a chance to end it," along with "bring him to me," summing up what we actually ended up seeing during the special cutscene for that specific ending. We also know leading up to the Princess Quest ending, we're given more behind the scenes information in regards to a specific character we ended up seeing. Carney the Carnival employee, essentially one of the bear animatronics from Phaser Blast, is actually called Barker Bear from the files of the game, with the label Carney being more of a standard title for a carnival employee instead. It's not his real name, as we're told a Barker is also a carnival employee, something supposed to be similar to a sort of circus ringmaster. But outside of his appearance, we're clued into one of the biggest components of this whole thing so far, with the involvement of Montgomery Gator himself. So we never ended up seeing the real deal throughout the FNAF Help 1 and 2 minigames, but it turns out behind the scenes, his code was originally linked with an early jump scare model with the glasses of the animatronic bouncing up and down when Monty is shown jumping at the screen. Apparently his bowling minigame ended up being scrapped from the final version of the game that was tied to these early leftovers, depicting a really early version of the map with Monty himself along with a bowling ball. Throwing moons of movement into certain portions of the game instead of Monty ended up being why in the final edition, these file elements weren't anywhere to be found. Our information for Help 1 and 2 continue with the secrets implemented into the game, but actually originally stemmed from the recently released FNAF movie. Starting with the exact same cupcake model found in Help 1 and 2's prize machine and in the second level of food prep. Specifically, it shares the same type of mouth that the movie design uses. The rig even includes an unused bone to open the mouth fully, matching what we originally saw on the big screen. We additionally saw the redesign of the Endo 01 model that was shown on Captain Foxy. We don't end up seeing most of the model, but it does take inspiration from the movie Endo 01 model, as the square plates on the torso to the rim on the eyelids match up with the FNAF movie depiction. We're also given a strange development in Bonnie's involvement in the game, as his character was also linked with voice lines we were meant to be seeing originally, essentially statements explaining the rules of this specific level and everything we were meant to do, as Bonnie was also linked with secret voice lines in the previous FNAF game as well. We have the early files from Ruin showing us that Eclipse's lines were meant to be used for Bonnie's character before everything was reworked, removing the possibility of seeing the animatronic's last words that could have had something to do with a circuit malfunction. But going back to the most important element of all this, It turns out behind the scenes we're given more potential info about our depicted endings. Helpful information to clear up everything from one of the Steel Wool team members themselves, as the cutscenes for the game left a portion of the fan base overall confused and not sure what they were meant to be taking from the in-game events. But it turns out the actual design director for the production studio has been liking very specific theories based on the actual endings of Help Wanted 2. Small signs adding up to the strong possibility that it's meant to be more of a slight nudge towards the truth here. And specifically, the design director has been shown to be liking every post talking about Cassie's dad in particular, along with Glitchtrap's character being the Mimic. How I see it, once we finish the secret Princess Quest ending, Glitchtrap is finally destroyed once and for all by none other than Vanny. The alternate Cassie scene is essentially meant to be like a post-credit scene for the future, which we ended up seeing in Ruin. The Mimic in the basement seems to be the only Mimic left for us to deal with, essentially tying together what we were meant to get out of the Help Wanted sequel. It helps fill together certain gaps of the story for Security Breach in the first place. Going back to all of our depicted endings already shown, we have more evidence towards another hidden ending, in addition to the Princess Quest ending, default ending, and even the escape ending. A whole concept that ended up being introduced to us through a brand new DLC for the game. So we've already been able to uncover certain in-game files meant to suggest that Help Wanted 2 could already have a DLC on the way, with content popping up to back up everything we've seen. Similar to what we ended up seeing in the first Help Wanted with the massive Fredbear DLC, and what do you know, this big update ended up being accompanied with a whole new ending for the game. Something that obviously translates over to this Help Wanted sequel as well, if we know it's already teased to be making an appearance in one way or another. And as for what we'd actually end up seeing in this ending, we know the first time around we were clued into the more cult-like style of the main antagonist, with the follower mask being a big component of the whole thing, meaning we could end up seeing more of the dark components of the character, as the Princess Quest ending acts as more of the good ending of the game. The end of Glitchtrap's code displayed through him finally being crushed up once and for all. But it turns out alongside everything else we're clued into, we have more new information in regards to the next secret game of the franchise. A new FNAF project teased through what Steel Wool themselves tell us behind the scenes and in certain interviews. The physical game components themselves were what we were able to use to confirm that the new game was meant to be a 70s inspired FNAF installment, a game more focused on the past of the series, clearing up a lot of the more early parts of the Fazbear Entertainment story. And I put together all of the revealed details and information about this new game in this video right here. For the full story on everything we're told here, make sure to check it out.